Warrior's longest day. Warrior, clumsiest tug in Captain Star's fleet, has managed to cause one disaster after another. But when little tug 10 Cents is involved in an accident with the tanker Izzy Gomez, it's Warrior's chance to show what he's really worth. At one time, the oldest parts of Bigg City Port were being rebuilt, and the Star tugs and Z stacks were kept busy moving barges of building materials. Warrior, one of the biggest Star tugs, was taken off his usual job, pulling waste barges, and told to go and help Big Mac deliver some rocks for the new dock foundations. Warrior was a good strong tug, but sometimes clumsy. Captain Star was hoping he would show he was improving. At the quarry, the crane loaded Warrior's barge with rocks and wished him luck. "Let's hope you'll be kept off the waste barges after this."
"Thanks," said Warrior. "Big Mac and me will make a great team. We'll shift this lot quicker than the Z-Stacks can look at it."
"Quicker I don't doubt," said the crane, "but without any accidents. You've got to prove it to the whole port, Warrior."
"I will," grinned Warrior. "Captain Star has faith in me." Oops!
He jumped as the barge bumped him from behind, then moved off, watched by the doubtful crane. Warrior steamed happily across the harbour, pulling the barge along behind him.
"Right, full steam ahead. I'll be back for another load before the Z-Stacks know what hits them."
A moment later, he saw Izzy Gomez, the tramp steamer, dozing by the harbour wall.
"There's Izzy," he thought. "Perhaps I could pull him into harbour as well." "Oh, hey, Izzy Gomez," he shouted. "Want a tow? I'll give you a good price."
But Izzy preferred to sleep.
"You're not thinking of going in on your own, are you?" asked Warrior. "You know it's against the law."
"I'm just thinking of sleeping," muttered Izzy as Warrior hurried away. Round in the ruins of the old dock, 10 Cents was working with Scuttlebutt Pete, pulling down an old warehouse. Zip and Zug were also there, working with Mighty Mo. The work was dangerous, so a port authority launch was kept watch.
"Take the strain, 10 Cents," called Scuttlebutt as his line pulled tight. "This is it."
10 Cents built up power and started to pull.
"10 Cents, I'm slipping," called Scuttlebutt as he moved slowly towards the edge of the dock. 10 Cents went up to full steam and held Scuttlebutt's line. As he struggled with it, Zip and Zug watched with interest. "Does he think he's going to make it?"
grinned Zip. "What do you expect of a Star tug?" smugged Zug.
"More power, 10 Cents!" cried Scuttlebutt. "I'm slipping!"
But 10 Cents was already on full power. Nothing happened. Then suddenly, Scuttlebutt Pete jerked forward.
"Cut power!"
he cried. "Wow!" breathed 10 Cents. "That was a tough one." Scuttlebutt Pete wound in his cable and whoomph! The building collapsed in a cloud of dust. In the bay, Warrior was towing his barge with a very long rope.
"I must shorten the line before my next load," he thought.
In the oyster bed, Sunshine was holding Pearl, the oyster barge, while Little Ditcher, the dredger, filled her with oyster shells. Little Ditcher looked up and saw Warrior approaching.
"We'd better look out," he warned. "Warrior's coming."
Sunshine tooted his whistle at Warrior, but it was too late.
"Whoops!"
cried Warrior and threw his engine into reverse, backing straight into the rock barge coming along behind him.
"Whoops! Morning! Can't stop! Very important work!"
And with a burst of steam he shot forward. Behind him the barge swung wildly from side to side.
"Watch out!"
yelled Little Dredger.
"Your barge is swinging!"
"Quick, Sunshine!"
called Pearl.
"Do something!"
Sunshine reversed, pulling Pearl with him. Just as the rock barge veered past, it swung round and then back, catching Little Ditcher and snapping off one of his legs.
"You all right, Little Ditcher?"
called Sunshine.
"I'm on 3 legs," replied Little Ditcher. "He hits one. Just wait till I get hold of Warrior."
Warrior sailed on, unaware of the damage he caused. Top Hat, who was pulling a waste barge, drew up to the oyster bed.
"I saw that," he said to Sunshine. "He should be locked up. He's crazy, looking for accidents to happen.
He's just too enthusiastic, said Sunshine. He goes at everything too quickly.
Yes, sniffed Top Hat, like a bull in a china shop. It's about time the captain fired him.
You know what would happen then, grinned Sunshine. You'd always have to pull the waste barges.
What? Cried Top Hat. Well, I didn't mean actually sack him.
The others laughed at Top Hat's horrid face. Back in the old dock, 10 Cents and Scuttlebutt Pete were preparing to pull down another building, watched by Zip, Zug, and the launch.
Stand by, everyone! Ordered the launch as Warrior came up. A delivery's coming!
Warrior pulled into the dock area, grinning, and stopped suddenly.
Hey, where do you want me to dump this lot?
Here, said the launch. Where the crane's going to load it? Warrior looked around.
No empty barges for the return trip?
He asked, surprised. You're the first one in, said the launch.
How's it going, Warrior?
Asked 10 Cents.
Great, smiled Warrior. A perfect day for me, no problems.
Outside the harbour walls, Izzy was still trying to get some sleep. He had already been woken by Warrior and then by Big Mac. Now 3 of the Z-Stacks approached him.
Wake up, Izzy Gomez, ordered Zoran in an official voice. This is the dock police with a search warrant.
Izzy woke up fast. I've done nothing, he cried. I'm innocent. He noticed the grinning Z-Stacks. Oh, it's you. The Z-Stacks steamed away laughing. I get no sleep here, muttered Izzy. Next tugged over me at all, I'll take it. No, why should I pay? This time Izzy goes into the port without a toll, under his own steam, for free. He pulled up his anchor and moved towards the harbour mouth. Warrior was steaming along merrily when Grampus, the midget submarine, caught up with him.
Hey, Warrior! Captain Star wants you to go and see him. That sounds urgent, replied Warrior. He must have something important for me to do. I'm on my way.
And he set off for the Star Pier. At the quarry, the crane was loading up Big Mac with rocks. Zoran, Zebedee and Zack arrived with their empty barges.
Come on, said Big Mac to the crane. Keep it moving, I've got to get going.
You need all the head start you can get, sneered Zoran.
I see it takes 3 Z-Stacks to pull 2 barges, replied Big Mac. Warrior and me carry more than you together.
It's quality, not quantity, said Zoran. He noticed Big Mac's barge was full, but the crane was still loading, waiting for Big Mac to tell him to stop. Big Mac hadn't noticed his barge was full. Zoran hoped he wouldn't realise until it was overloaded.
Come on, he yelled at the crane. Get this loaded faster so we can get started. You've no chance, said Big Mac. Warrior's already done 1 run.
We saw that by the trail of disaster in his wake, snarled Zoran. We gave a list to Captain Zero. Krampus came up next to Big Mac.
I think Warrior's in trouble, he said. Captain Star told me to send him in.
He noticed Big Mac's overloaded barge.
Hey, your load, look!
What? Stop! cried Big Mac. He turned to Zoran.
You distracted me on purpose. Now I'm too low in the water.
It was up to you to tell the crane to stop loading, said Zoran. But I'm sure if you ask nicely, he'll unload half of it.
I wouldn't think of it,
snapped Big Mac.
Stay clear, Grampus. I'll give him a load half of it.
And with a loud hoot, Big Mac pulled away. As soon as Big Mac was out of earshot, Zebedee spoke.
With laws like that, we never beat them.
Don't be stupid, snapped Zoran. He can't make any speed with his barge that low in the water.
Wouldn't need much of a wave to sink it,
mused Zack. In the old dock, 10 Cents and Scuttlebutt Pete were ready to pull down another building. Zip and Zug were watching. Let's see what you can do, 10 Cents, mocked Zug. 10 Cents turned to scowl at Zug and noticed Izzy Gomez approaching. What's he up to? He asked. He's not supposed to be in port without a tow. Izzy was heading straight for the dock. Hey, Izzy! yelled 10 Cents. You're too close to the shore! Too late, Izzy ran straight into the newly laid rock foundations, just under the water. There was a loud crunch, then silence. Slowly, Izzy listed sideways. Before anyone else could move, 10 Cent steamed up to Izzy. "Quick!" he yelled to Zip and Zug. "We must try and get him safe before he does any more damage." Zip moved forward to help, but Zug stopped him.
Wait,
he hissed, then shouted,
"It's your service, 10 Cent. You do the rescue. You get the reward. You're too quick for us."
"Forget salvage!" cried 10 Cent. "Izzy needs help." "We got to help," said Zip. 10 Cent can't manage alone.
"Exactly," agreed Zug. "He'll get into a mess, and then we can rescue both of them and get twice the reward."
Zip looked impressed. "That's really crafty." At the Star Pier, Captain Star had been scolding Warrior. "You must take more care," he said. "You're full of enthusiasm, but you must think what you're doing. I want to see an improvement or you're in big trouble. Now get back on the job and don't hit anyone." "Yes, Captain," said Warrior, and he set off back to work. Big Mac was slowly crossing the harbour with his overloaded barge. Grampus was following and keeping an eye on the barge. "You're doing all right," he said. "Keep it nice and steady." "Good thing the harbour's so calm today," said Big Mac. "Wouldn't take much of a wave to sink it." "Yes," agreed Grampus. He looked around and caught sight of Warrior approaching at speed. "Oh my! Warrior!" Big Mac hooted. "Slow down, Warrior!" he yelled. But Warrior took no notice. He happily tooted back and steamed past Big Mac at top speed. "Bet I'll catch up with you on my next trip," he laughed. Grampus dived beneath the water. "Warrior!" yelled Big Mac. "Watch out, you'll sink my barge!" Too late. The wave from Warrior's wake washed over the barge, and it started to sink. Big Mac cut loose his tow rope. "Warrior!" he shouted. Warrior looked back. "What's happened?" he asked. "Your wake has sunk my barge," said Big Mac. "I asked you to slow down." Warrior was aghast. "But," he stammered, "the barge must have been very low in the water." "It was," admitted Big Mac. "That was my fault." "I'm sorry, Big Mac," said Warrior, "but how was I to know?" Big Mac sighed. "Go and get a crane. I'll mark where it sank." He moved over until he was above where the barge sank, and Warrior set off to get a crane. Grampus resurfaced. "The barge has turned over," he said. "It's lost its load, and now it's coming up." There was a loud clunk as the barge came up right underneath Big Mac. "What the?" cried Big Mac as he was lifted out of the water. Warrior turned and saw Big Mac stuck on the barge. "I didn't do that, did I?" he asked. "Couldn't have, could I?" "Never mind who did it," snapped Big Mac. "Get me down!" By the old dock, 10 Cent was still trying to push Izzy upright, but was making no progress. Izzy lurched sideways so he was right over 10 Cent, trapping him so he was unable to move. "I'll go for help," said the Port Authority launch. Top Hat came past, pulling an empty waste barge. 10 Cent, he cried. "What are you doing under there?" "Top Hat," gasped 10 Cent. "Am I glad to see you?" Top Hat moved closer. "I can't get in under there, 10 Cent. I'm too tall. Maybe the waste barge will." He pushed it into Izzy's side to prop him up.
"Phew," sniffed Izzy. "What a stink. I'd rather sink than stink."
Meanwhile, across the harbour, Grampus was trying to help Warrior pull Big Mac off the rock barge. The Port Authority Lodge pulled up. "Warrior! Big Mac!" he called. 10 Cent is in trouble. Izzy's tried to get into port without a tow and ran aground on the rock foundations. He's listing badly." "Where's 10 Cent then?" asked Warrior. "He's beneath Izzy's side. He'll be crushed when the tide goes out." "Warrior!" cried Big Mac. "Get over that fast. These two can get me off now." Before Big Mac had finished speaking, Warrior was on his way. In the old dock, 10 Cent was just about to be crushed by Izzy.
"Time we took over, Zip,"
said Zug. "So was John too at once," grinned Zip. "Can't be bad." But at that moment, Warrior steamed up. He tooted his whistle.
"Hang on, 10 cents," he yelled. "I'll soon have you out of there."
He moved towards Izzy. "Why, Warrior," cried 10 cents, "it's too dangerous." But Warrior ignored him. He slammed into Izzy's side and went up to full power. His engine strained and slowly, Izzy began to move upright. "He's moving," gasped 10 cents. "At last!" Suddenly, Izzy slipped on the rocks. "Warrior, get clear!" cried 10 cents. But Warrior bravely continued to push against Izzy.
"I'm not going to mess this one up, I'll tell you,"
he panted. There was a loud clunk. "Need a hand, fellas?" asked Big Mac as he slid in next to Warrior and threw his weight against Izzy. Izzy began to straighten again, and at last 10 cents was free.
"We make a great team, Warrior,"
grinned Big Mac.
"You sure do," smiled 10 cents. "Thanks."